right, today I am joined by Gavin, aka All Time Cards. If you are into staying ahead of buying trends, prospecting, you need to go give this guy a follow over at All Time Cards. He spotlights, fighters we need rookies of, which are people that don't even have UFC cards yet. He's breaking down rising prospects. This guy's out there, man. Fighters to invest in. He's talking about events, people that you should potentially keep an eye on. Super excited to talk with you today, man. Thank you for coming on the channel.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. I'm excited to talk about the hobby and all the different topics and stuff. I'm stoked.
Yeah, man. This your page was really interesting because when I first started doing stuff on YouTube, right? Like I had like a rookie research videos that I would do, and it was basically exactly what you're doing now, but you are doing it at a better level. You're doing it in short form, which is a better way to do it, and you're pumping it out quickly. So I am very hyped that you're doing this, and I personally think that it's really important because in the UFC space, we have so many rookies, man. It's different than other sports. We have so many rookies, they pop up so often, and a lot of them are like overlooked and unknown. So what made you want to even start creating these types of videos to begin with?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think that there's so many rookies and sometimes people go under the radar. And I think these videos are really good just for the like general education of learning new fighters. So like specifically with the fighters we need rookies of, I think that's one of the best series that I do in my opinion, because I think in the past, I've been collecting for a while now in this category. And in the past, I feel like I heard from so many collectors, it's like, oh, when Panini had the license or now that Topps has the license, it's like, oh, we're missing these big superstar rookies we were expecting in this rookie year, and they're not there. And I've seen that happen so many times. And people always tell me, why do you think that happens? Like, what's going on there? Are they not paying attention to who the superstars are coming up in the UFC and stuff like that? And so I was like, you know what? I think I can make a series and hopefully Top sees it of highlighting these people that need to be in products just to make sure we get them for sure
Yeah.
this time. They're not left off the checklist when the next rookie class comes out, basically.
Yeah, no, that's great. And man, whenever you were talking about that, it kind of made me think of the checklist and videos that I do and the overviews. And dude, it's not uncommon for us to have 30 to 50 new rookies every single year. That is a lot of rookies, and with all the different weight classes, with the different genders, like it's a wide spectrum. And in 2024 was kind of an off year for collecting because we really only had a handful. But man, this year it is stacked, and 2026, as highlighted by your channel and by your videos, could be absolutely tremendous with the type of talent we have. So
Sure.
you're dialed in right here with all the rookies, man. So one of the main questions I wanted to pick your brain on was just like, what are a few, like we'll say like five, what are like five fighters that you are most excited about that you're hoping, crossing your fingers, will get a card in 2026?
For sure. I think there's so many good prospects that could be in this class. So it's hard to narrow it down to
Yeah.
five, but I think we've got a couple. So like I think as far as like the scope goes right now, Quinlan Salkild is one of the biggest rookie names in the UFC right now. He's coming off of two finishes with the head kick. He's an absolute monster. He's from Australia. He's awesome. I love him. I think he's got a great personality. He's got a great social media team. I think he's a superstar. I think he's going to be great. So if he gets a rookie card, I think he would be one of the biggest chases. Another one, I would say Islam Dulatov. He's coming off the Contender Series season last year. This guy literally has an amazing story, and like he's also extremely marketable. He is
Well,
a
why do you think he's so marketable? Is it how handsome he is?
he's
It's
a
incredible.
supermodel. He's
Yeah,
literally a supermodel.
literally
Yeah,
look at this,
literally.
guys.
I think he walks for like Gucci and like all these designer brands, and he does that and he fights. So it's
Yeah,
like
the
he
dichotomy
literally
is crazy.
yeah, and he's from Germany, so I think he's got that worldwide fan base
Mm,
too. I mean,
okay.
as soon as he goes viral, he's already got one knockout in the UFC. He made his debut. I don't think he's booked right now, but yeah, I mean, the dude's a stud. He's going to be a beast.
What do you think?
Um,
Before we go through, what do you think? Just kind of X's and O's about the Australian and the crazy performances that he has. Do you think he's going to be a guy that continues to rise up as he faces tougher, stiffer competition? Do you think his style matches up well with the people in the weight class? Kind of give us something on that.
Oh, 100%. So Salkilled, as we saw when he fought Nasrat Hassarat, I think that's how you pronounce his
Yeah,
name. He
crazy
had
name.
that crazy head kick KO, and everybody thought he was going to be a crazy KO artist because of what we've
Yep.
seen. And then his last fight that we just saw a couple months ago Everybody thought he was going to go in, knock out Jimmy Malarkey, and he went
Yeah.
in, grappled, and finished him on the ground. I mean, he's showing that he's got a complete like game set, like he's a beast all around. And that's what he talked about in the interviews. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry if you guys were betting that I'm going to knock out Jamie.
Yeah.
I'm a wrestler and grappler at heart, actually." So he's just like he's got that full set of skills where I think he's going to blossom into a very, very, very big prospect in that division.
Yeah, being well rounded is, we're seeing it more and more and more nowadays. You have to be well rounded and great at everything whenever you get into the upper echelon of the divisions. How old is he? Because he's relatively young as well, right? And we know as rookies, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, I think he's in his like mid 20s or early
Okay.
20s. I don't know his exact age, but I think he's probably like 26, 25 range. So he's got a lot of upside with his age as well.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm starting to notice as we continue, to move forward in the UFC card world is within the last, I want to say like really 2 years, we're seeing guys that are, it's not uncommon to see a 24, 25-year-old guy that has a lot of promising potential. And back, in the early 2020s, even like late 2018, 2019, like you did not see guys that were really surging in the rankings or even like had a lot of upside that were that young. I mean, it was just very rare. And I think it goes to the popularity of the sport, where we're at right now. Like people are starting to train. The sport's been around long enough. People have been training basically their entire life for this.
100%.
And it's really exciting for us as collectors because, like you're saying, that you could, like a Josh Van guy, right? He is the champ.
Exactly.
He could be literally in the top five for like 10 plus years. Who knows what's going to happen? So that's really exciting for some of these rookies.
100%. Yeah, and there's so many of them. I mean, another guy that I like, his name's Kevin Vallejos. I just saw him at the Apex at the end of last year. Now he beat, I think, who did he beat? He beat Giga Chikadze with a crazy spinning back fist,
Oh,
knocked him
wow.
out for insane performance. He's been on the up and up, but now at the beginning of this year, after that fight, he got booked against Josh Emmett. So he's already fighting
Ooh,
in the top two of the division
yeah,
instantly. So like they're matchmaking this guy with the same exact kind of fighters that he wants to fight. He's got
yeah.
crazy KO power. He's a great boxer. And they're like, you know what? We're going to give you someone that's the same. Good boxer, crazy KO power. Let's see what happens. So I believe he is the main event too. So he went
Wow.
from, I think he was co-main event or somewhere, and he wasn't main event at the Apex, but now he's going to headline this fight night that's coming up. So he's another guy, crazy, crazy potential, no cards yet. He's from Argentina, so
Okay.
he's gonna have
Good.
an
Yeah.
awesome fan base as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast.
That's interesting stylistically too, because you have Giga Chikadze, great striker, right? But he's kind of more known as like kickboxing, a lot of good kicks, kind of a little more, I would say, diverse in his weapons. Then you have Josh Emmett, dude. He just got those hands, man. He's got those nukes. So that's an interesting stylistic matchup, striking wise, to see if he can handle, the kickboxer, Giga Chikadze archetype, and then kind of transition over to Josh Emmett, which is more, more of a wrestler, brawler, stone hands type of guy, a little more boxing. So that's definitely an interesting matchup. And if he gets that done, like you're saying, that's a big feather in anybody's cap to beat a grizzled vet and a tough
Oh
guy
yeah.
like Josh Emmett.
And he's another one. I think he's in the 25, 26 year age range. And I have heard, I haven't said this, but I have heard people compare him. They say he's the Argentinian Ilia Topuria. So
Wow. Well,
that's a big
it doesn't
label to
get
put
much
on him.
bigger than that. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly. So, I mean, I don't know about that. His boxing's crisp, he's got good power, but we'll see how
Yeah.
that plays out. Two other guys, I'm going to group them together because I couldn't do five, so I'm going to group two people together as one.
Okay.
Alden Correa, who fights what is this weekend when we record this, and Michael Aswell. They are both from 4 Ounce Fight Club, the gym that Joshua Van trains at. So they are both his training partners.
Oh,
They're
wow.
both they're both very young. They're both very, very solid. They both have great striking, great grappling. Those are two guys to look out for, especially because that gym is on the rise with Joshua Van. Michael actually showed on his account that he signed the UFC debut patches that they're releasing. So we're
Oh,
getting
baby.
the fighter worn on the sleeve
Mm,
UFC debut patches that are signed one of one RPAs. And he was actually the first person to wear one of those. So I think he's going
okay.
to be one of the biggest chases because he was the first person to debut the debut patch, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. Say that name one more time for people that missed out on the last 30 seconds. Who was the number one person, the first ever debut patch that we're getting from Tops, which is going to be absolutely massive. I can't wait to see what those do, and I think we're getting them in 2026. So who was the first ever person to get one of those?
Michael Aswell, the Texas kid, he's out of 4 Ounce Fight Club. with Joshua Van, Alan Correa. It's a great gym. They're down in Houston, Texas, I believe. And yeah, he was the first one to wear the debut patch. I think he has it on his Instagram. He posted that he finally signed his UFC debut patch 101. So hoping we get to know what product those are going to be
Yeah.
in because we have no clue and I can't
Hmm.
wait. So I'm super excited for those.
Yeah, man, and I like that you mentioned the gym. That's also something that I really try and cue in on some of these rookies because it's an interesting sport where like you have to have the looks in training, you have to have the people pushing you. It's such a tough sport on your body, on your mind, and it's such a high skill sport that you really need training partners that are top tier. And we see this a lot. This is not the first time. It's definitely not gonna be the last time where. The specific you have like almost cohorts of training partners and they almost rise up together. And we've seen it in the past, and we're seeing it now with Fighting Nerds. We're seeing it, with Josh Fan and these guys, where they all push each other, they all do better, and it's also a confidence thing. Whenever you're training with a guy that's a champion or a guy that's about, in a contender about to be a champion, like it rubs off on you, and it gives those guys those confidence. And it's also such a mental and confidence sport that whenever you get a couple guys that are coming up at the same gym, that is always something to cue into.
Yeah, so those two are definitely ones that I would look out for. And then my last one, I think this is one that everybody knows about. Adaba Gutier, an absolute unit, mini Francis Ngannou, just absolute monster. I think he's going to be one of the biggest chases, hopefully, in the 2026 rookie class. Obviously, we don't know who's going to be in that class, but I would guess that he's going to be. And I think he will be the biggest chase. He's got like you can see, crazy finishes,
Yeah,
knockout power. He's just an absolute monster. He's I think the only fight he hasn't finished in the UFC was his last fight. It went all 3 rounds, but he still got the win unanimously. So I mean, he's just going to keep getting better. He's got a crazy physique. The fact that he can
yeah.
even make 185 is the most insane thing to me ever. I don't know how that guy is 185 pounds, but he makes it, and he's going to be a beast. He's just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, he's another guy where I want to say he's 24 years old or like something
Oh
insane
wow!
like that. Like he's incredibly young. I don't remember if it was exactly 24, but it's one of those times where like he's not even close to his prime right now. Hopefully he
Exactly.
continues to go out there and to show out. He didn't get the finish in that last fight. But he knocked that guy down like 5 times. That's why it's important for people to actually watch the fight. The first right hand he threw literally lifted him off the ground, lifted his opponent off the ground and like threw him across. It was like a movie punch.
Yeah.
The guy has dynamite in his hands. But what really makes me most excited about him, obviously he's a powerhouse, obviously he's a beast, but he is a lot more technical than we generally see people that have this type of power in their hands. He doesn't rush, he's very measured, and he was able to go it wasn't in my opinion a tough fight for him, but it wasn't an easy fight. He definitely had to push. There were times where, his opponent got some shots off on him, and also the pace was not slow. And so I'm very happy with Atepa that one, he has the KO power, which is going to bring, he's going to get more finishes. But two, he's technical and he has the cardio, which I think is massive for a power puncher like him.
Yeah, no, Adov is a beast. The guy that he fought, Puliev, it's actually interesting. I talked about this with some people because we were talking about Gutier, and I actually predicted that that fight was going to go the distance and
Mm,
not going to be close, but going to be one of his like tests of not
yeah.
knocking somebody out instantly. Because Puliev actually, prior to fighting Adaba, fought Christian Leroy Duncan, who's a great
Okay.
rookie in this
Yeah.
class. He's somewhat similar. Great knockout power, good striking, kind of overpowers all his opponents. And Puliev took him to a decision as well. So I was like, I kind of see some kind of similarities on how this fight could go since CLD wasn't able to get him out of there either. So Puliev's an interesting one, man. He doesn't give up as I've
Yeah.
seen against CLD and Adabo, which is crazy.
Yeah. You cannot do that in this sport. We had just this weekend we had a crazy Alex Morono versus Daniil what's his last name? I forget his last name.
Lomachenko.
Yes, great prospect, and I saw that what I really respect about your channel is you are on the nose, man. Like I remember seeing Daniil in the tough, and then I was like, we'll see if he wins. Put some pressure on him. Looked great there in the finale. He almost gets another crazy finish, but you have guys like Alex Morono and some of these guys that you can win fights off pure toughness and not giving up on yourself. And Pulev definitely, attributed some of those attributes. that he had in that fight, and that's very important. So
100%.
already, I am loving this episode, man. We're giving you guys some heat out there, and this is really fun for me because I like to do the rookie research and learn about these guys. And what this does is it makes the fight night so much more entertaining. These guys, a lot of them are on the prelims. Some of them even early prelims. And
Yeah.
when you have a couple hot rookies to watch on the prelims, to me, it makes it much more entertaining.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, man. So we're talking about people that we don't have rookie cards of that we hope are printed, that we're hyped about for maybe 2026 and beyond. Hopefully 2026.
Yeah.
But I wanted to pick your brain. 2025 has a really, really good rookie class. I think we're going to look back on this, and I think it's going to be similar, if not better, than like a 2022 rookie class, where there's multiple guys in this rookie class that are not just superstars and popular, but also maybe are holding belts, are in title eliminators, or right up there, trying to get that belt strapped around their waist. So I want to know, what are some of your like current 2025 rookies that are like dark horses that are somewhat slept on, maybe a little bit cheaper, that people might be able to buy into and potentially have like a value play? And what are your dark horse rookies for 2025?
Yeah, I think I have one significant one that I really, really like. His name's Daniel Zellhuber. He is fighting out of Mexico. He's a lengthy boxer. He's a great, great striker. He just dropped a loss last summer. I think it was to
Michael
who did he
Johnson,
fight?
right?
Michael Johnson, crafty vet on a win streak too.
Yeah.
Super, super talented guy. So Hooper's a little fresh still. I mean, he is super, super young. I think he's like 26 years old.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot to learn. I mean, fighting Michael Johnson that young, learning on the job, basically. He dropped a loss there. And after he dropped that loss, I saw his market dropped
Yeah.
significantly, like
Yeah. It's crazy.
significantly. For example, like I have this card right here. Let me grab it. I bought this Daniel Zellhuber. Let me see if I can get the light on there. Daniel
Oh,
Zellhuber Legs of
nice.
Five rookie. I bought that like 3 days before he fought Michael Johnson. I think I bought it for like $350 range. I don't think that card is worth that right now,
Yeah.
but there is hope if he goes on a winning streak. I mean, again, he's only 26 years old, so he's got a lot of time. I
Yeah.
think he is the biggest dark horse in the 2025 class, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really like about these type of rookie years, where there's so many different people to choose from, is there's a lot of guys that are low or middling that could potentially definitely be at the spot that, like Jean Silva, Peyton Talbot. Like, it would not surprise me if 2 or 3 years Zell Hooper is exactly with those guys. Now, it is always a risk, right? But what I like about these dark horse slept on type of rookies is that, uh, you know, hopefully you don't buy in, when Gavin did. But that's how the
Yeah,
game goes, right? If he knocks out Michael Johnson, a grizzled vet, that card is worth that and some. But yeah, like, buying off a loss with these younger guys. Jean Matsumoto, another guy that I love, that looked amazing. And I honestly don't even like to say this because I want to get some of his cards for cheap. But that's another guy, right? That's like, looks amazing, has potential, is incredibly young, gets a loss, but like a guy like Michael Johnson, a guy like the Basharat, good opponents,
yeah.
still a lot of potential there for those guys. So definitely interesting whenever we're talking about dark horses, or just people that are not necessarily have the spotlight on them.
For sure. I think if I brought up one more, I would think that this one is a little iffy because of his age, some people
Okay.
say. I really like Marcus McGee at 135 too.
Oh,
And I think that he's aging really, really well with the Peter Yan being
yeah,
champ now. Before the Peter Yan fight against Marab, Marcus McGee went to a decision with Peter and had really good flashes. So to see him be able to go toe to toe with Peter, and then to see what Peter did to Marab, I think Marcus McGee, even though he is an older rookie, I think
yeah.
he's a very interesting one to look for.
No, that's a great call out, and honestly, something that hadn't really been on my radar. But you're completely right. That fight with Piotr Yan, it went to a 3 round decision, right? So it wasn't like Piotr Yan put it on him or anything, but definitely had some flashes there. And whenever you're talking about a guy that goes 5 rounds and just batters Marab, personally, I had that fight 4-1 Piotr Yan. I did not think it was very close at all. How old is he? Is he 34 or 35?
I think he's like 34 or 35. Yeah.
But he is in the right spot for that guy, and a guy that is a great athlete. Is he also like a skater, right? I want to say I saw
Yeah.
like clips of him like just hitting the half pipe or something. So he's an athletic guy. Um,
Yeah.
Also a smaller weight class, which I guess we see this both ways, right? Sometimes in the smaller weight classes, we see guys that as they get older, they very much struggle to make the weight and they kind of age out of it. But we've also seen some guys at the lower weight classes that have had great longevity for whatever reason. You know,
Yeah.
Demetrius Johnson. We're seeing it right now with Marab. He's not a spring chicken, and he's continuing to be incredibly active and still look very well. So kind of an interesting thing with Marcus McGee, and he's a guy. Talk about dark horse. Talk about slept on. I bet his prices are insane right now. So
Yeah.
like you're saying, a little bit risky because of the age, but also, I mean, you're already risking it on some of these prospects. Might as well,
Why
throw a
not?
couple, throw a cheap one on there with Marcus McGee and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. He's an interesting one though. I like him.
Yeah. One guy that we didn't talk about for the 26 potentials was Ty Thrilla Miller, and I was happy when I saw you mention that because he's definitely a guy that I'm excited about, and he does have a debut patch. And this was one of those where your page is so on it. I was like watching the fight, like, oh, does he have a patch on? And I was like, he's got a patch. And then literally like the same day or the next day, I saw your page had it on there. I'm like, yes, sir, he's doing the Lord's work. So what's your thought on Ty Miller?
Yeah, I think he is going to be a very, very big prospect. I think there's a lot of things that play into that. I think that the fact that he was the first person to debut on the Paramount era of UFC, I
Yeah.
think that's very big, just implications for who he is as a fighter and his market. So I think that's really big. And then also, I mean, he looked great in the contender series. He didn't get a finish, but he, as you can see, pretty much pieced up this guy the entire fight. So I knew he had really, really good boxing. So going into his debut against Adam Fugit, I was very confident that he was going to go in there and just shine. And yeah, he was able to get a finish. I think it was like 5 seconds, 10 seconds
Yeah,
left in
it
the
was
first one.
buzzer beater.
Crazy. And so he got, not only was he the first debut patch of the new year, first debut patch of Paramount, and he's a rookie that got a first round knockout and a
Mhm.
huge 100K bonus on the first card. So I mean, I think that he's got a crazy high ceiling. I think he's an awesome, awesome, awesome prospect to look out for. And with the debut patch, with the videos that I'm making now with fighters we need rookies of, I didn't do this last year, but now starting this year, the fighters that are getting debut patches, or if they're walking out with their debut patch, I'm
Uh,
going to put the little debut
yeah.
patch logo on the video so you guys can see if they have a debut patch when they walk out or not. Because it's hard to see. I mean, if they
Yes.
don't get the camera angle on them, you
Mhm.
can't see it on their sleeve. So I've been trying to log all the people that have debut
Nice.
patches because there's not really, until the checklist comes out, you
Right.
really don't know who has
Yeah.
and who doesn't unless they post it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate the work that you're doing for all of us collectors because everybody benefits whenever one person, bears the burden and shoulders the cross as Gavin's doing to try and track some of this. Yeah, man, what stood out most for me, right, what was the polished boxing that he has. And they mentioned it in the broadcast. He's a Golden Gloves. What does that mean? That's kind of a loose term, right? Like we hear that kind of all the time, but he looked like it. He had really good distance management. He had tight control. He had good defensive movement, head movement, like all these guys that are stud boxers do. But that style, man, that style is what people like to see. They like to see people throw hands. They like to see knockouts. They like to see people get punched in the face. And I think that could do wonders for his card market and just for his popularity. If you're out there and you're punching people hard and you're looking good doing it and you're getting finishes, man, the not only are you going to be popular, but also in the card collecting world, you're probably going to be popular too.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's going out there to get a finish. He's trying to go for the bonus. He's not going to
Yeah.
go in there try to get a decision. You can tell he's one of those hungry guys that want to go in there and put on a show. So that just adds to his market value even more, in my opinion.
I love it, man. What another great series that you have, and we've already touched on what like three or four different. This guy, you guys need to go follow him if you're not. Was the Fighters to Invest in, and kind of tell us what that's about and why you started doing it.
Yeah, so the Fighters to Invest in series I started doing because I felt like the market, I think the UFC market is still relatively new, in my opinion. I think as far as like investing goes, we're a little bit behind other sports, as you can see just on market trends.
Yeah,
So it's like if I can make content to try to push specific fighters so people can like see, oh, maybe it's the best time to invest in this person before they go out and get a win or a knockout. Maybe that increases their value in the market. Maybe that increases the general market in total. So I was like, hey, let's start this series, Fighters to Invest in, gets people excited to see their fights, gets the cards flowing. So I thought it was a fun idea. And it's been really fun to make. So I kind of just pick out fighters that I think have either low buy-ins or sometimes not even low buy-ins. If they've got big hype, I try to make
yeah,
videos on them too, because I think, you know what? If they get a crazy finish and they're already expensive, their
yeah.
prices will just keep going up. So I try to expand on different kind of people and different kind of like buy-in points of like investing into their cards.
Yeah, what can you give us some examples of people that you personally have liked to invest in, or like how does that go? Because I know anytime you're planting a flag on somebody before they fight, like sometimes it doesn't work out. I did one on Rinat Fakhretdinov, who had some victories, but he's not even in the UFC anymore, right? So
Yeah.
I kind of planted my flag on Rinat. He had some good finishes. He had some flashes in the wrestling, looked well-rounded. Not even in the UFC anymore. So how have you kind of navigated that experience? And can you give us some examples of people that you're making videos on?
Yeah, so it's definitely tough because like this game is so unpredictable. So it's like you really don't know what's going to happen, but you can try to make some assumption of what you think's going to happen. I did something similar. I made a video on Brian Battle, and
Yeah,
that is my biggest video I've ever done. Actually, Brian
yeah,
Battle is my biggest video,
that's funny.
and even though he got cut on the video I made because he missed weight, it is
Yeah,
the best performing video I've ever made. It's got like 150,000 views or something like
nice.
that. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe it works even if they get cut. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, no, he's one of them that didn't work out for me. But some of the ones that did work out for me, Peyton Talbot is one of my favorite rookies in this last class, and I think he's got a lot of upside. So I've been buying a lot of Peyton myself, and he's one that I've made a video on. A couple others that I've done so many different ones. Daniel Zellhuber, like I said,
Yeah,
is one that I really like. I've done Hamza Chimaev, which I think is an easy one. That's an example of a fighter that,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, invest in him, but it's like, why not make a video? Because he's got the hype. A couple others, like I like doing bets. Like I like doing Max Holloway. I've done Dustin Poirier. Trying to think who else I've done. I've done so many different ones. I think, like I said, I like doing a scale of different ones. Like they could be rookies, they could be second year, or they could be vets, because I think that the markets and the fights that they get can affect drastically in different ways. So like with
yeah,
Max and Dustin, I made a video on both Max and Dustin when they did their fight. I thought, hey, there's room for both to invest in both of them in this fight because it's such a legendary fight. Dustin's retiring, so his stuff will most likely go up after he retires. If Max wins, his stuff goes up. If Max loses, I mean, he lost to Dustin in a retirement fight. I don't think people are going to knock his market for that. So
yeah,
I just think there's a lot of different ways to view on the fighters to invest in series. And like sometimes, like yeah, I'll get them wrong. Like I'm not going to get every fight right, and I'm not going to get every investment point right.
right.
But I do think it's important to note that like some of these guys that I'm making videos of, they're gonna fight more. Most of them, unless it's Brian Battle who got cut before he even could fight, they're gonna fight more. So there is still potential that their market will go up. So just because they lost the fight that I made the video on
Yep.
doesn't mean you shouldn't invest in them anymore. Actually, you could look at it. Maybe
Hmm.
this is the time to buy now that they lost. So yeah, I just think it's a fun series to really try to get people involved, not only in watching the fights and keeping up with them, but also investing in the card market and specific fighters and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there right at the end. Buying off a loss, in my opinion, depending on how the loss is, if the athlete and the fighter put on a good performance, it wasn't their night for whatever reason. Maybe they lost a decision, they won a round, didn't look great in the other two. To me, that's a buying opportunity, especially if I believed in the person's talent before, and you still saw flashes of that talent within those fights, particularly if they're younger. We talked about Zellhuber. We talked about Matsumoto. Peyton Talbot lost. Bo Nickel lost. All of these people were relatively young whenever they encountered their losses, and that is part of this game. We have very few people that have never lost. Personally, I'm going to include John Jones in there, and then we have Habib. And those are like the only two people that have probably never lost a fight in the entire UFC that made it to the highest level. You're gonna lose, and that's okay, guys. That is okay. If you believe in the talent, that's a good time to come in cheaper and potentially have some value later on in the market, or just a good time to scoop it up and hold it for long term.
100%.
Okay, so we talked about some fighters that we wanted to see rookies of. We talked about some fighters in 25 that potentially are slept on. I wanted to go like real deep dive with you here. What are some people that are not even in the UFC yet that pique your interest, whether it's popularity, whether it's fighting style? Give us a few names to talk about here.
Yeah, I think there's a couple, and I think a lot of people will probably agree with these because some of these are bigger names.
Yeah,
The first one that I can always think of, and he's very popular right now, is Usman Nurmagomedov. This is the brother to Umar Nurmagomedov, one of the top bantamweights. He's in the PFL right now. He's been champ in the PFL for it seems like a while, as you can see.
yeah, yeah,
He is a very very talented fighter. I think his closest fight. was maybe a year or two ago against Paul Hughes, who is a very entertaining fighter as well, but he
Yeah.
still won.
Hmm.
And they ran that fight back again, as you can see, and he won again. So if there was any question about the
Yeah.
first Paul Hughes
Right.
fight, he settled it the second time. So he's definitely one. I mean, he's got the bloodline, so that obviously brings in the hype already. Another fighter that I
Oh,
like, this is
but wait,
another.
hold up, Gavin. Before we go on,
Yeah.
I thought this was an interesting talking point, and I love that you mentioned Usman because whenever I ask this question, I always kind of who would I pick, and he was definitely a guy that I have my eye on. So he has cards in the Panini Combat Anthology, right? I want to pick
Yes.
your brain. What are your thoughts on that as being kind of a fun play, right? Like he has a Kaboom, he has I forget I think it's Contenders. He has cards with Panini as well in 2025. What are your thoughts on the not UFC cards, but they are MMA cards, and we know from other iterations that the Anderson Silva Pride, etc. There is some value there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually so I last year I made a goal to rip every single combat sports product that I could rip that
Yeah,
released last year. So I ripped pretty much every product that released for combat sports. And I ripped Anthology and I actually really, really, really enjoyed Anthology. I know, like you said, it's not UFC, but it is combat sports, and there's a lot of really cool names in there that we
hmm
all know if you keep up with all combat sports. I think it's very interesting. Like you said, this is going to be like their first cards technically. I think Contenders was the first release they did, so that'll be like
yep,
their first cards. And now with Anthology, I think it's a very interesting thing to follow. Obviously, people like Tops, people like Panini, as far as like UFC goes. So if he transfers to the
yeah,
UFC later, people are probably going to want his UFC stuff more than that. But it is his first, so it's interesting to look out for. One of the people that this is another person, Victoria Dudikov, I think is her name. She's a beast. She's in the PFL. She's another one. She's in that set. Her first licensed autos is in that set. She has autos in Goodwin Champs, but this is her like first official PFL signature. Her market is actually really big. Everybody wants her in the UFC. They think she's going to change the women's MMA scope for the UFC when she gets signed. So yeah, as you can see, her stuff sells astronomically.
yeah.
So she's one to definitely look out for as well. She's in the PFL. Yeah, there's her one of one
Dude,
auto.
she is diced. Look at that. She's diced up.
Is a beast, and she's got a huge following. So she's definitely one to look out for. And like I said, those are her first licensed PFL autos, first Kaboom. Usman has his first Kaboom in that product. Those are love sets. So it's definitely something to follow, I think, with Anthology and the PFL and Panini contracting.
Yeah, while we're talking about the Combat Anthology product, the Panini price points I thought were incredible this year. Now, granted, y'all can watch the rip I did on my channel. It was garbage, dude. But the price point was only like $100. I think it was
Yeah.
110. That is a great price point. It's a very low entry. I think I sold 2 cards from that, so overall I'm probably under like $60. To me, that's great. It's a low
Oh
buy-in.
yeah.
Even if you hit nothing, it's still fun. You can look at all the cards. There was Hulk Hogan, there was Mike Tyson. It was the anthology aspect was really cool. Dakota Dacheva, dude. Anybody who hasn't watched her fight, go watch some highlights. She might be the best athlete to ever be in MMA. Like I say that trying to be very objective. She looks like she is so fluid, so well put together. She has power. She's extremely coordinated. So just from an athletic perspective, her frame, as y'all showed, she is like built perfectly for striking and for combat sports. So I, for one, am very excited that hopefully she comes over to, the UFC, and I think she'd put a shot of life into those divisions 100%.
Yeah, she's a beast. I just realized I said Victoria Dudikov. That's a UFC fighter. Victoria Ditcheva is the PFL fighter. Sorry, I got their names mixed up. But yeah, Victoria Ditcheva is a monster. She is a beast. If we keep going on this topic, another
Yep.
person that I think is a great one, and I feel like a lot of people, if you follow
Yeah.
combat sports in general, Gable Stevenson. I mean, he's a gold Olympic medalist in freestyle wrestling for the U.S. He's got that fan base. He's starting to get into mixed martial arts, so he's competing. I think he's competed in dirty boxing and maybe a couple other smaller promotions.
Yeah.
He's training under John Jones. That's probably the best mentor you could possibly have getting into the sport. So I think he is a one to look out for. He's got cards, but not UFC cards, obviously, since he's not signed with the UFC. But I believe he has WWE
Yep.
cards. I think he has an NFL Prism rookie as well, and then maybe some other random set as well. And his stuff sells well already, so I could
Yep.
only imagine when he makes his UFC debut, his stuff is probably going to be very, very sought after. Yeah, I mean, he's a no brainer in my opinion.
Very interesting guy. And man, I hate to like try and make parallels, but how can you not make parallels with like a Brock Lesnar? Now, granted, Gable Stevenson did not have the WWE accolades. We are talking about a heavyweight Olympic gold medalist. Is this the best wrestler we've ever seen transition into MMA? I would have to say yes. No, a heavyweight gold medalist?
Yeah, I think his accomplishment stands for itself. I mean, for the US, which is huge in freestyle
Yeah.
wrestling, to get the gold, competing against everybody else, I think it stands alone by itself. Like he will be one of the biggest prospects. And I think it's important to note, I hate to say this, but the heavyweight division is very weak right now.
Yeah.
So if he came in right now, he would probably be a top contender in the division just coming in already. Obviously, that may be a hot take because, he hasn't fought in a crazy big promotion. I mean, Dirty Boxing's a fun promotion, but the competition level is a little lower than obviously the PFL, the UFC. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, if he gets into the UFC, which I'm hoping they do this year, maybe he goes on the Contender Series. Maybe they just put him right on the White House card, which would be awesome. I think
That
that's what they should
that would be
do.
sick. That would be sick. Oh,
Yeah, no,
to open the White House card, he's on the on. I saw a blurb. Their Met only do 7 fights. What is that about? We're only gonna get 7 fights. But yeah, you get Gable Stevenson on like one of the first prelims to open the card. You open it with an American Olympic gold medalist making his debut, and you put him against a lower end heavyweight, right? Somebody that's not ranked that he can just go out there and stunt on. That would be the perfect entry for
oh, yeah,
Gable Stevenson.
100%. I think it's the easiest thing the UFC could do to make a huge prospect in a light division that needs help. Honestly,
And you mentioned John Jones, training partner, mentor, coach, whatever title you want to call it. He's also going to be in his corner, man. And I have been saying this for a while, and I still don't. I think it's too early to really tell if this helps. Having Habib in the corner of Islam, in the corner of Umar, maybe in potentially Usman if he comes over. I do think that that kind of helps both parties. One, I think it kind of helps Habib's cards and his legacy. He's still fresh on the mind. The accolades of his teammates, of his students, that bolsters his resume, in my opinion. Could be the same thing with John Jones and Gable Steveson. Having John Jones in your corner is everybody's paying attention. Everybody knows that. Could be a little more talking there. And also, if he goes out there and does what John Jones thinks he can do, man, the sky is the limit for this guy. Also, okay, so we have a blurb here that I just wanted to read quickly for you guys. And this is from John Jones, who some say is the greatest of all time. He's training with him day in and day out. So take that for what you will. But personally, when I hear a guy that has accomplished that, say these type of things, I believe it. Timeline for Gable Steveson winning UFC gold. John saying next year I could see it. We'll come down, and this was another crazy blurb that we had, if I can find it. This time next year I see it happening. Once he signs with the UFC, there's going to be no stopping him. He can strike, and I think that's his weakness right now. His grappling is through the roof. John Jones is saying his takedowns are unstoppable. John Jones is one of the best wrestlers, in my opinion, that we've ever seen in the light heavyweight division. He's probably one of the best wrestlers in the heavyweight division right now. If he's saying his takedowns are unstoppable, that is scary. His ground and pound is effective. His sense of body awareness, he knows where to be. It's not going to be fair. Also, Gavin, I think he is one. If he comes into the heavyweight division, we have a couple really good. Just from an athletic perspective, we have some good athletes at the top. We have Tom Aspinall is a very good athlete. He's really big. He's really fast. He's twitchy. He's strong. He has somewhat. I would say his stamina is still questionable, to be honest, because we've
yeah.
never seen him. But he's a great athlete. Cyril Gahn is a great athlete. And if Gable Stevenson comes into the UFC, he's going to be one of the best athletes in that division immediately. The wrestling cardio translates so well. The wrestling strength translates so well to MMA. I was happy you mentioned this guy, and I am very curious when he does get printed, what kind of pricing are we going to see?
I don't know. It's definitely interesting because, like I said, he does have cards already. Obviously, not UFC cards, but
Yeah,
I know that his NFL stuff, his WWE stuff, I know people are looking into buying that stuff because they're anticipating that he
yeah,
does come into the UFC. So the
yep,
fact that that stuff is already selling at a high rate, it makes me think that if he gets into the UFC, that stuff will be on a whole nother level. If people are already prospecting his NFL cards, which I
yep,
don't even know if he played a whole season in the NFL. I think people are just doing it because it has his name on it. So it's
yeah,
like, it shows that he has the pull to be a superstar. I mean, simple as that. He's got the story, he's got the coach, he's got everything. I mean, he's literally got everything to be an absolute superstar in the UFC.
Yeah, he's got the mindset as well. In that article with John Jones, John mentioned the mindset that he has, and that is so important. When you have these younger guys that have huge potential, you got to keep your head on straight, or else you can kind of get veered off track. Sounds like he has that. We saw a guy. The only other comparison I could kind of have is everyone talked about how good Bo Nichols wrestling was. Comes in, huge wrestler. He has not even close to the accolades that Gable Steveson has. And we're talking like we saw what Bo did. Bo did
Yeah.
incredible numbers early on. I think we might see like some rookie numbers that we've never seen before with Gable. And if he gets like a debut patch card, man, I would not be surprised if we're talking 30, 40 grand for his one, maybe even more, honestly,
Yeah,
because
I agree.
that is going to be the de facto card for these rookies moving forward. And that's one thing that I'm so curious to see is what does our community value that as? Because sometimes with the upper end cards, honestly, I feel like some of them go for a little bit too low just because we don't have enough buyers, we don't have enough bidders in the space. So it's going to be really interesting. Hopefully, we get them in 26 or 27 to see what those one-on-one patch cards do.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think I've made this call. I think the UFC debut patch RPA one of ones could change the scope of the UFC market, in my opinion. I think this brings in a whole nother level of prospecting that we see in
Yeah,
other sports that we have not had yet. And I think a lot of people from other sports and other markets that enjoy the prospecting aspect of collecting and investing in sports cards will move over to the UFC just to hunt these cards specifically.
that's actually a great point. That's a great point. And I've been noticing this at a few of the card shows that I've went to. The vendors that have no UFC, they might have two UFC cards, but those are big cards, man. And I think whenever you're involved in the other spaces, those NFL, NBA cards are so expensive that if somebody does want to dabble in UFC, I think a lot of times they're like, wait, this is only a $2,000 card. Like, yeah, I'll buy that. That's like a base rookie of Patrick Mahomes. So
Exactly.
so I am completely with you, and that definitely could drive up prices in the short term, and hopefully, a rising tide lifts all boats. Hopefully, we see that kind of trickle down, not only for the huge debut patch sales that we're speculating on, but maybe even just the true rookies, one-on-one, autos, all the whole nine.
Yeah, no, I think we're starting. I honestly think with the Paramount deal, it's already started to slowly happen. I do another series where it's the top 5 sales of the month every single month, and from what I've seen, I started it I think August of last year. Every month, we just keep leveling up, just bigger and bigger sales every month, and not just one
Yeah,
consistently. We've seen consistent big sales. It really started with the Marab True Black Prism rookie that did I
yeah,
think it was like 16,000.
yep, 16K.
The following months, I think the Ilya Taporia one of ones, True Prism Black, did over 100,000. So, I mean, it just keeps leveling up. And then recently, I haven't made this video, but for January, I think you made a video on it too. The John Jones Red Ink, I think it was a BGS 9510, over
Yeah,
$30,000. Like
yeah.
we're consistently seeing a level up in the market, and I think it goes with the Paramount. I think it comes from other people wanting to invest in UFC, like you said. Hey, a silver prism in NBA of a rookie is over
Yeah.
$1,000, and I can buy him out of 10 for $200 of one of the biggest prospects in the UFC. So I think the market is just it's got such a high ceiling.
Yeah, man. Very, very interesting stuff. Have loved the video so far, but we ain't done, man. We're not done. We still have a guy that we haven't even touched on, and a guy that I wanted to talk about. Tell me if I'm saying this wrong. Alexei Pergande, is that right? Because I
Yeah,
hadn't
that's
heard about
it.
this guy, so I'm interested to hear your take on him.
Yeah, so he's a very, very, very young guy. He is fighting out of the PFL as well. He hasn't main evented any PFLs. He's been on like the lower end of the cards. I think he's gotten on maybe one or two main events. He's very, very young. Yeah, 24 years old. I think he's 7-0. He trains out of Killcliff, which is a
Okay.
very, very, very great gym. He's surrounded by talent there. He is literally in the gym every single day. And the reason I know that is because he's super big on social media. He makes a lot of content on Instagram and TikTok, basically just showing his sparring sessions, showing the ins and out of being a professional fighter. It's really cool content. If you haven't seen him, I would definitely go watch his content because if you're an MMA fan,
Yeah.
it's cool to see the behind the scenes of how everything works. Like he shows like starting off how much he was getting paid to now that he's leveling up in his career, getting to be a bigger name, how his pay is increasing and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. So I think with all those aspects combined of being good on social media, being super young, getting wins and a big promotion, in my opinion, I think that he's got a very, very high ceiling. And if hopefully maybe he gets signed on to Contender Series if he leaves the
Yeah.
PFL, or if the UFC just offers him a contract, I think he's a guy to definitely at least have on your radar, because I feel like a lot of people may not know about him since he's still like on the earlier cards of PFL. So he's one to look out for. I think he's an interesting one.
Yeah, I love it. Anytime we're talking about superstardom, we're talking about potential prospecting, the outside of the octagon, the off the field stuff does affect popularity so much. So it is always interesting whenever you have a guy that's marketing themselves very well. I would put that's one thing I noticed about Peyton Talbot whenever he first started it is he has a YouTube channel. I said, let me go check this stuff out. The guy, I don't know who's editing his stuff, but personally, I love that editing style. You got to get to know them a little bit better. And whenever you get familiar with these people, that is generally when we see them kind of pop. We saw it with Marab as well. Everyone hated Marab so bad after the Aldo fight. He made himself available. People got to know him more. They started to like his personality and like him as a character and just as a person. And then that's really when you see people kind of blow up. So if he's already doing that at this age, the BTS stuff is always awesome. You really get an idea of who these people are, and you kind of form some type of a relationship through the screen with them, and that's really when you can root for them and when you can really make like these diehard fans.
Exactly. And I think that plays into the market as well. When
Yep.
people enjoy the fighter, their market goes up, and they just got such high potential. I feel that way about Sean O'Malley. I mean,
Hmm.
he's kind of cemented himself as more than just a fighter. He's a personality, he's a celebrity. Win or loss, people are still going to want Sean O'Malley cards just based off of the brand that he's built on himself. So I think it's very important when fighters build that kind of brand behind them, because it shows that they're more than just a fighter, and I really like that.
Yeah, I love it, man. A great pick there, and somebody that I had no idea about. So I'm glad you mentioned him. I can check him out. I wanted to talk about a kid, and I say kid because I believe he's 18 now, and it's Jackson Glass. So this guy, man, he actually was at a Ambush Muay Thai, which is a gym kind of near where I'm from in Austin. I think that's up in like Cedar Park area. Or actually it'd be North Austin. But anyway, the kid is absolutely amazing, man. This is one of those people that he's been practicing since he was like 8 or 9 years old. He's a single sport athlete where he's focused on this his entire life. He has his first fight. He's just knocking people out. He's well rounded. He's throwing elbows. He's an incredible striker. He went and trained with Marab Dvalishvili in Vegas. He is flying out to train with these people. I don't know if you're familiar with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scene, but B Team Jiu-Jitsu, formerly Craig Jones, was there. They have the whole team, Nicky Rod, a ton of extremely accomplished grapplers. He goes in and is training there all the time and is getting in great rounds and is putting in good work with these guys. And he is like 17, 18 years old.
That's
I'm telling you,
crazy.
man, this kid is going to the UFC and he's going to do very well in the UFC. He has almost like a Corey Sandhagen type of stand-up game. He is an incredible scrambler. Like he's scrambling with the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world already at 18 years old. I can't wait to see what this kid does in the future, man. And honestly, I might reach out to him and try and like get some in card autos if he does eventually get UFC autos, because it would be insane. It's just been really interesting to watch this guy and to watch a local guy. I think is why kind of I've had my eye on him. But yeah, Jackson Glass, man, I'm telling you, who knows when it's going to be, because he is fighting on the Fury Fighting, which is a UFC Fight Pass. Somehow they're affiliated, and we have seen some guys that have fought on that particular thing get moved up to the Contender Series somewhat soon. Now I think he's only 18, right? So he's got to get some more fights under his belt before he gets thrown
Sure.
in there. But an interesting guy to look at.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually haven't heard of him, so I'm excited that I've got another person on my list to look out for.
Yeah, go check him out, man. His highlights are absolutely insane. Um, so fun talking to you, man. This is the some of the videos that are the most fun to me are just talking about fighters, talking about the sport. We're mixing in cards, so hopefully people are still enjoying it from the collector aspect, but it's really fun to talk about the sport as well. And back to cards. We have you doing a series that I thought was so fun and so interesting, man, and it was you taking a $1 UFC card and you're trying to get it to 1,000. So explain to us what is happening and kind of just what this is all about.
Yeah, so basically, it's in the name. We're turning a $1 UFC card into $1,000 UFC card. But to break it down, we started in episode one with like, I think it's a 2018 Paulo Costa Museum Collections card. It's literally a dollar card. So basically, I took that card, I posted the first video, and I said, "Hey, if anybody wants to trade for this $1 card, we're going to take this $1 card. I'm going to trade it all the way up to $1,000 card. And yeah, we are on episode 4, I think, right now. So we started with Apollo Costa. We moved that for like 2 lower end cards. And then in this episode, we moved a like $20 card up into a gold Volkanovski card, which was pretty crazy. And then right now, the episode we're on, we turned that gold Volkanovski, as you can see, you're about to see, we turned it into a silver rookie Bo Nickel autograph and a PSA 10, which is absolutely insane that we are already there that quick in the series. So actively, I am still open to offers on that Bo Nickel. So if anybody's interested in trading for the Bo Nickel, that's the next step. So I'll trade that Bo Nickel. Just hit me up on my Instagram and I'll see what you got and we can try to work something out. And yeah, that'll be the next step is trading the Bo into an even bigger card. So once we get to that $1,000 card, I'm actually giving away the $1,000 card
Oh,
to
wow, I love it.
so yeah. So this whole series is literally just for fun, just for content, and people are going to get new cards exchanged with their old cards. So it's fun. But yeah, once we get to the $1,000 card at the end of the series, I am going to go on Instagram and I'm just going to give it away to somebody. So it's as simple as that. I mean, it's not simple, but it's a
Yeah,
lot of work. But it's going to be awesome because everybody gets to interact in the community on a challenge that I can trade one of my cards that I might be kind of tired of for a new card. Why not? And then they participate in the series and then they get a chance at $1,000 card at the end. So it's a lot of fun.
yeah, man, that's amazing. And me and you were talking a little bit about this off air. I was like, when I saw the first episode, and I was like, this is a great idea. I'm glad somebody's doing this. Like, this is gonna be fun to watch. And then I was thinking to myself, how long is this gonna take? Like, this could be a while before he kind of gets up there and is into some really nice cards. And then I saw the one you released last time, and you're already at like a Bo Nickel auto rookie. I'm like, this guy's crazy. What is it, $200, $300 already? It's the fourth trade, so that's amazing that the community is really like into this and is having fun with it.
Oh, 100%. I think that's one of my main goals when I started this series. Again, I think we're still such a small community and there's just so much room to grow and get more people in. I think a series like this is a fun series that people can be like, you know what? Maybe I want to get into this hobby. And this is a great way for them to start, just watching videos, watching content. And that's basically the reason I started all the series, just for
Yeah.
people to enjoy them, to educate people on new fighters or veteran fighters if you've never seen the UFC and stuff like that. So this series specifically, I thought was a very engaging, fun idea just to get everybody involved that wants to be involved or just to watch. I mean, I just think it's fun.
Yeah, as far as like, if you can, and feel free to say no to any of the questions I'm asking. Are you scared whenever you make these trades that somebody could potentially try and scam you? Now, I guess you could blast them, but like, there's a little bit of friction there, and I've seen some people that on the Facebook groups in particular that have really gotten some really, really, things done wrong to them when it comes to trades, when it comes to buying and selling away from eBay. So, what are your thoughts on the risk associated with just trading in general?
Yeah, trading obviously online can be difficult, obviously, because you're basically just putting your trust into someone that you don't know. And you hope that, oh, if I send this card to them, they're going to have goodwill and send the card that they said they're going to send to me. For me personally, it can be scary at times, but the way that I'm most protected, I think, is because of my brand. In all honesty,
Yeah,
I think people most of the time I tell people if they want to do a trade with me, I'm like, if you send the card first, I will send it after. But that comes with having my brand
right.
because obviously I value my brand very heavily. I would not try to scam
Yeah,
someone for a trade for the risk
right.
of my business, basically. So that's kind of how I'm protected by trading is because people trust obviously that a business is not gonna just take their card and not ship them the card they said. So for me personally, that's the way I'm protected. Obviously, outside of that, if you're just an individual in the hobby that's trying to trade, it's definitely scary. I mean, before I had my business and I was trading online, it's always a risk, I think. I honestly don't even really know the best way to go about trading online, obviously, because it's just so hard. I mean, you don't know. I mean, do you trade? Do you have any tips? Because I honestly don't know any tips outside of what I do, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. So the trades that I've been a part of have been people that I've made a relationship with, that I've talked with for months and in some cases years before. And there's always that small little percentage that you could get, messed over. But I think that's a big thing, right? You can generally tell people's nature, whether they're nefarious or whether they seem like good people with that type of duration, if you're talking, 6 months to a year, generally back and forth talking about random things, talking about cards, you can kind of tell if people are good people or not and potential trade partners. The other thing though is if you don't know anybody and you do want to make trades, there is a trading platform called Veriswap. Now there are fees associated, but y'all can go check out I did a video a couple months ago. You can search through my catalog and check that out. And it is definitely a viable option. Now, it's not as easy, right, Gavin, as like us doing it. There's no fees associated. You pay for postage. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But if you are really risk averse and you are, somewhat apprehensive and scared, and I would definitely be in that category. I do not like taking chances. I'm a little bit leery of strangers that I haven't like formed a relationship with. Definitely an avenue you could take.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. That's a great point. Veriswap is a very good app, especially if you're dealing with high end cards. I
Yeah,
mean, if you're dealing with cards that are $500, $1,000 plus, I mean, the risk of losing $1,000 in a trade is not worth it, in my opinion. So,
yeah,
an app like Veriswap, where yes, there is a fee associated with the trades, that fee is kind of the fee of, oh, I'm protected. So it does suck there's a fee because like if you just trade with someone there is no fee, but it
right.
is protected, which I think is worth it. So that's a very good point. Veriswap, I actually have a Veriswap. It's a very, very convenient app to use for trading.
Nice, man. All right. Last topic. It's already been an hour, man. I've loved chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You
Yeah,
have
thank you, man.
you have another series, and if you're seeing a theme, you need to go follow this guy. He's got a lot of interesting series and a lot of good videos and just interesting information on his page. You did a video that I thought was pretty cool, and it was about UFC fighters that are collectors and that are in the hobby. And we have Josh Emmett One Punch cards on the screen now. So kind of tell us just your thoughts on fighters being in the hobby. Do you think that's important overall? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think just having advocates for the hobby is very important to have. Josh with One Punch, he's got his own breaking company now. Max Payne Griffin, who is actually friends with Josh, they're both from the Sacramento area. He's also super into cards. Michael Aswell, that we talked about earlier, he's super into cards. He's actually learning right now more about the card market and the card hobby. And he's actually hoping to open his own business as well in the card space. I just think that them showing that they're interested gives us as hobbyists in the UFC a kind of one of one experience
Hmm.
because these guys are interacting with us where like an NBA, NFL, any other professional sport, being able to interact and communicate with the professional athletes that you watch on TV is unheard of, really. I mean, it's very rare that these people are open to communicate on social media or in a hobby space with their fans. Like you just don't see it. So the fact that we are seeing that so early in our hobby, I think it's awesome. And it goes even further past just the fighters. I mean, even when celebrities show that they're interested in investing in UFC or collecting UFC, I think that helps advocate that this hobby has again such a high ceiling for collecting and investing. And I think it's awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think it plays into like what we see with inscriptions. Like Josh inscribes his cards, Michael
Yeah.
Aswell inscribed his cards, Max has inscribed his cards. It just adds that extra collectible element and just one of one experience to the thing that we all love to do. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, what I kind of thought about with this is like, whenever you are an outsider looking in, you don't really understand what the specific consumer wants from you. Whenever you're one of these guys, you know exactly what is collectible. You know exactly what people are gonna want when you're getting, Josh Emmett inscribing all this sick stuff on there. When you're getting, guys over at Championship Collections or having people sign live and getting people to do inscriptions, dedicating things to people, or just kind of, we're even seeing Tops almost incentivize the fighters, and they must pay a bigger fee or something for John Jones to be putting like the goat or whatever on these cards. Like they know what's collectible. So I thought it was really cool that we're seeing more fighters in the space. Ode Osborne is getting pretty active in it. We have Matt Schnell, Danger Matt Schnell is a collector as well. And those guys, they know what we want, which I think personally is such a cool aspect of it. And like you're saying, with the NBA, man, those guys are making so much money. They could care less about, signing cards and all that. They're busy on their yachts. But the fighters are so down to earth. And we're really in a cool spot where they're pretty accessible. And maybe that's a bad thing because they're not getting paid as much, but it is kind of cool as the collector that we're still in that time period.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And I kind of see it like with all the content I've made, like I'll collaborate with some fighters. Like the Ty Miller video was a collaboration with him. I did a Torres Finney one that was in collaboration with him. And it just shows like they're so into like expanding their own brands within our hobby. Like they want to interact with us, they want to grow themselves within the sport, but also just grow their fan base outside the sport in any way that they can. And I think it's very important. I think it's awesome, and it makes you more excited to not only collect in the hobby, but to just watch the fights
Yeah,
on Saturday. You're like, oh man, I've talked to this guy before, and now I can root for him on the TV when he's fighting a big prospect or fighting someone who's ranked, or if it's his debut. It just adds that extra element of like, man, this is really really cool that I'm a part of this, basically.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Before we get off, do you want to give any promo to anything? Shout out your Instagram, anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, I'm all time cards on all platforms. I'm trying to build up my YouTube like yours. I'm trying to get the followers up on YouTube like you. So yeah, all time cards on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, and on whatnot. It's all the same. I'm the same name on all platforms for you guys.
I love it. Everything will be in the description below. Thank you for coming on, man, and thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I had a blast.
Sir.